Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you suddenly felt uneasy, unsure if you could trust someone, but couldn't put your finger on why? Perhaps it was a simple glance, a word left unsaid, or a small unsettling gesture that raised your suspicions. We've all been there. Our instincts often pick up on cues that our minds don't immediately recognize. But what if I told you these small signs could reveal more than you think? The truth is, people with bad intentions don't always wear a visible sign on their forehead. They don't walk around with "I'm dangerous" written in neon lights. Instead, they often come with a smooth exterior, presenting themselves as friendly, charming, and trustworthy. But lurking beneath the surface can be a different story. First, pay attention to body language. Subtle but significant signs like crossed arms, avoiding eye contact, or even nervous fidgeting can indicate that someone is hiding something. These may seem like small actions, but they can be powerful indicators of discomfort or dishonesty. A person who avoids direct eye contact may be trying to conceal their true feelings or intentions. This lack of openness creates an invisible wall, making it harder for you to truly connect with them. Next, let's talk about manipulation. People with bad intentions often have a knack for making you feel guilty or afraid, skills they use to control your decisions and actions. If you ever find yourself constantly questioning your decisions, or worse, feeling responsible for another person's emotions or actions, take a step back. True connections are based on respect, not manipulation. Beware when someone consistently tries to make you feel like you owe them something, or that your well-being is secondary to theirs. Another warning sign is inconsistency. Have you ever noticed someone telling you one story, only to tell a completely different version later? This isn't just harmless forgetfulness. This could indicate deceit. Someone with bad intentions will often change their narrative or omit important details to serve their own interests. Their lies are like patches on a broken wall, trying to cover up the truth. If you catch these inconsistencies early on, trust your instincts and take a step back. Then there's the excessive charm. We've all met someone who seems almost too good to be true, too flattering, too eager to please, too smooth. The truth? This might be a tactic designed to disarm you and lower your defenses. People with bad intentions often use charm as a tool, making you feel special and unique, only to manipulate you later. Trust yourself when you feel like something is off behind that perfect smile. And what about accountability? Someone who refuses to take responsibility for their actions is a major red flag. Instead of owning up to mistakes, they'll deflect, shift blame, or even make you feel like it's your fault. If this pattern of behavior occurs repeatedly, it's a clear sign that they're more focused on covering their tracks than on building a genuine relationship. Accountability is the foundation of trust. Without it, any connection is fragile at best. Lastly, one of the most glaring signs of bad intentions is a self-centered mindset. People who constantly put their own needs ahead of yours, who disregard your feelings, your well-being, and your needs, are usually motivated by selfish desires. They may pretend to care about you, but in reality, they are only interested in what they can get out of the relationship. True relationships, whether personal or professional, are built on mutual respect and consideration, not one-sided demands. These are just a few of the signs to watch out for. Signals that, when noticed early, can help you steer clear of individuals with harmful motives. But it all starts with trusting your instincts. Listen to that gut feeling. It's often more accurate than we give it credit for. In the end, our interactions with others shape the very core of who we are. Surround yourself with those who bring honesty, respect, and positive energy into your life. Recognize the signs and don't allow anyone to compromise your peace, your trust, or your integrity. Our body language often speaks volumes before our words do. We've all heard the saying, actions speak louder than words. But when it comes to interactions with others, this couldn't be more true. While words can be carefully chosen, rehearsed, or even misleading, our body language is often a more honest reflection of our emotions, thoughts, and intentions. This is why paying attention to subtle gestures, expressions, and movements can be one of the most powerful ways to identify when someone may not be entirely forthcoming with their intentions. When someone has bad intentions, they typically have to work hard to mask their true emotions or plans. This often results in a body language that doesn't match their words. A person might say one thing, but their posture, facial expressions, or gestures might tell a completely different story. This incongruence between what is being said and how it's being said is one of the key indicators that something is off. One of the most obvious indicators is the avoidance of eye contact. In many cultures, maintaining eye contact during conversation is a sign of confidence, sincerity, and attentiveness. A person who continuously avoids eye contact while speaking may be trying to hide something. This doesn't always mean they are lying, but it can indicate a level of discomfort or dishonesty. People who have bad intentions often avoid eye contact because they don't want to be fully transparent with you. They are trying to conceal their true feelings or intentions. Or perhaps they feel guilty about their actions or behavior. In contrast, someone who is genuinely interested in building trust will often engage in steady, calm eye contact, signaling openness and authenticity. Another common gesture that can reveal someone's bad intentions is the crossing of arms. This is a defensive posture, often subconsciously adopted when someone feels threatened, uncomfortable, or closed off. When a person crosses their arms during a conversation, it might not always mean they are being rude, but it could signal a lack of openness. If the person is crossing their arms while speaking to you about a sensitive issue, or when you're trying to build rapport, it can suggest they're not fully open to the conversation. They may be putting up a wall to protect themselves, not willing to let you in or share their true thoughts. This defensive stance is often seen when people are trying to control the conversation or shield themselves from scrutiny. Alongside crossed arms, fidgeting is another telltale sign. When a person is nervous, anxious, or hiding something, they may fidget or make repetitive, restless movements. These actions can include tapping fingers, shifting in their seat, touching their face or hair, or playing with objects in their hands. Fidgeting is a way to release nervous energy, but it can also be a way of distracting others from the discomfort they are experiencing inside. It's a physical manifestation of internal tension. When someone with bad intentions is trying to deceive or manipulate, these fidgeting behaviors can be a way for them to ease their own anxiety while masking the truth. Pay attention to these small signs, as they can reveal more than just nervousness. They could be a way of hiding a deeper agenda. In addition to these defensive gestures, facial expressions can offer a wealth of information. Micro-expressions or fleeting facial expressions that occur within a fraction of a second can reveal emotions a person is trying to hide. Someone with bad intentions may struggle to maintain control over their facial expressions when they're feeling defensive or guilty. A quick flash of anger, disgust, or fear can betray their true feelings before they have a chance to hide it. Even if they manage to quickly cover it up with a smile or neutral expression, you can often sense that something isn't quite right. People who are dishonest or manipulative may feel trapped in their lies, and these quick, unconscious facial movements can be an unconscious attempt to process their feelings of guilt or anxiety. Moreover, posture plays a crucial role in revealing someone's intentions. When someone is open, engaged, and sincere, their body tends to be relaxed and leaning slightly forward in a conversation. This openness signals interest and warmth. However, a person with bad intentions may adopt a more rigid, stiff posture. Their body language may appear closed off or standoffish. They may sit or stand with their back straight, arms and legs tightly crossed, or may even tilt their body away from you. This rigidity can be a subconscious attempt to distance themselves emotionally or physically from a situation or person they are trying to manipulate or deceive. Sometimes, the way a person physically distances themselves can speak volumes. For example, if someone consistently positions themselves further away from you during a conversation, or if they seem to be subtly backing away when you approach, it can be a sign they are uncomfortable or unwilling to engage fully. While physical distance is sometimes necessary for personal space, a deliberate effort to put distance between themselves and you, especially during important moments, can indicate avoidance, dishonesty, or a lack of genuine connection. In some cases, the lack of congruence between words and body language might not even be as overt as avoiding eye contact or fidgeting. It might be subtler, such as a lack of genuine facial warmth when speaking. A forced smile or an overly practiced expression can be a sign that the person is trying to appear sincere, but is struggling to match their inner feelings with their outward appearance. A genuine smile involves more than just the mouth. It lights up the eyes and activates the muscles around them. If someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes or seems rehearsed, it's a red flag that they might be concealing their true emotions. Recognizing these subtle signs of discomfort and inconsistency in body language can offer a valuable window into someone's true intentions. When words and actions don't align, trust your instincts. They may be signaling that something is not quite right. While body language is not always a perfect indicator, when combined with other behavioral signs, it can be a crucial part of the puzzle in understanding who you are truly dealing with. Manipulation is a deeply ingrained tactic used by individuals with bad intentions, and it often operates in such subtle ways that it's difficult to recognize at first. At its core, manipulation is about controlling or influencing someone in a way that benefits the manipulator, often at the expense of the other person's well-being. People who manipulate others are highly skilled at making you feel guilty, fearful, or emotionally obligated to them, all while masking their true intention. The goal is to weaken your ability to make rational decisions by clouding your judgment with negative emotions. One of the key methods of manipulation is guilt tripping. They play on your sense of empathy and kindness, attempting to make you feel that you owe them something, even when they've done nothing to deserve it. This strategy creates an imbalance of power, where the manipulator plays the victim and positions you as the one who must help, even if it's detrimental to you. Over time, this can cause you to question your own actions, leading you to do things you don't want to do, just to avoid the emotional discomfort they induce. Fear is another powerful tool in the manipulator's arsenal. People with bad intentions often use fear to control the actions of others, whether it's fear of losing the relationship, fear of being judged, or fear of some other consequence. A manipulative person may try to create a sense of urgency or danger, suggesting that if you don't comply with their wishes, something terrible will happen. This tactic plays on our natural instincts to avoid pain and protect ourselves, manipulating your sense of security. They might say, "If you don't do this, I'll be forced to make things difficult for you," or "You'll regret it if you don't listen to me." These phrases are meant to create a sense of anxiety, pushing you to act quickly without considering the full scope of the situation. It's a psychological pressure that makes you feel that any resistance could lead to consequences, even if those consequences are fabricated or exaggerated. Another common form of manipulation is playing on your emotions to extract favors or services. This can be done by pretending to be helpless or overly dependent on you, creating a situation where you feel morally obligated to step in and help them. They may exaggerate their struggles or make themselves appear weak, unable to manage without your intervention. A manipulated person knows how to exploit your nurturing instincts by portraying themselves as someone who cannot succeed without your constant support. This emotional dependence is designed to entrap you into believing that if you don't help, they will suffer in some way, further deepening your sense of responsibility for their well-being. Even though their dependency is often fabricated, it can create an emotional bond that makes it harder for you to step back or say no. Sometimes, manipulation takes the form of triangulation, where the manipulator involves a third party in order to create a sense of conflict or confusion. They might subtly pit people against each other by misrepresenting facts or telling each person something different. For example, they might tell you that someone else is upset with you or that you are being misunderstood, hoping to create an environment where you feel the need to prove yourself or defend your actions. This strategy works by playing on your insecurities and creating division among people. In this situation, the manipulator steps in as the mediator or savior, offering a solution that only strengthens their control over the situation. It's a classic tactic used to maintain power and ensure that the focus stays on their needs, while others are left scrambling to solve problems they didn't create. Minimizing or dismissing your feelings is another hallmark of manipulation. A manipulative person often downplays your emotions, making you feel that your thoughts and feelings are invalid or unimportant. They may say things like, "You're overreacting," or "It's not a big deal. You're being too sensitive." This tactic aims to make you question your own perceptions and sense of reality. By invalidating your feelings, the manipulator reduces your ability to trust your judgment, which makes you more susceptible to their control. Over time, this can erode your confidence and cause you to second-guess your decisions, further strengthening their grip on you. One of the most insidious forms of manipulation is the promise of something that never materializes. Manipulators often make promises or offer rewards in exchange for compliance, but these promises are rarely kept. They may say things like, "If you do this for me now, I'll make it up to you later," or "Once I've taken care of this, everything will be better between us." However, these rewards often remain just out of reach, leaving you in a perpetual state of expectation and frustration. The false hope they provide keeps you tethered to them as you wait for something that will never come. This cycle of broken promises creates a feeling of dependence as you continue to believe that the manipulator will eventually follow through, only to be let down repeatedly. All these tactics are designed to exploit your emotions, sense of responsibility, and trust. The manipulator thrives on your reaction to these tactics, and the longer you remain unaware, the stronger their hold over you becomes. By making you feel guilty, fearful, emotionally obligated, or uncertain, they are able to steer your decisions and actions in the direction they desire. Recognizing these manipulative behaviors is key to breaking free from the influence of someone with bad intentions. When you notice these signs, it's essential to regain control over your emotions, trust your own instincts, and set boundaries to protect your well-being. Inconsistency in behavior and storytelling is one of the most telling signs that someone may have bad intentions. Humans are complex, and occasional contradictions are inevitable. Nobody's memory is perfect, and sometimes our emotions or perceptions can influence how we recount events. However, when someone constantly shifts their story, changes key details, or provides conflicting information, it is a significant red flag that suggests they might be hiding something or intentionally deceiving you. One of the key patterns to watch for is a person's tendency to alter the details of their story, often to their advantage. This could be something as simple as changing the timeline of an event, or as complex as providing entirely different versions of the same incident. A person with bad intentions may find it convenient to tweak their story depending on the situation or who they are speaking to, in order to create a version of events that suits their needs. These inconsistencies often serve to protect the manipulator, avoid accountability, or gain sympathy depending on the context. For example, someone might tell you a story about a disagreement with a colleague, and in one version, they are the calm and reasonable person, while in another, they might portray themselves as the victim of an unfair attack. The details about what actually happened might change slightly, or major aspects of the situation might be left out, all in an effort to shape the narrative to align with their personal agenda. Over time, if you start noticing these discrepancies, it becomes clear that they are not being truthful, and that their version of events is always changing to suit the moment. People with bad intentions are often very skilled at creating these inconsistencies because they know they can avoid being questioned if they constantly adjust their narrative. If you ask them for more details or clarification, they may provide additional information, but that information might contradict what they said earlier. This tactic works because you begin to doubt yourself. You might think, or maybe I'm remembering it wrong, leading you to dismiss your own instincts. This manipulation of facts and perceptions is a key strategy used by individuals who are trying to control a situation or avoid facing the truth of their actions. Another manifestation of inconsistency is the refusal to explain or clarify when questioned about their contradictory statements. If someone with bad intentions is confronted with inconsistencies in their stories, they may try to deflect the question, change the subject, or get defensive rather than provide a clear answer. For instance, they might say things like, "I don't know why you're making a big deal out of this," or "You're overthinking it," attempting to shift the focus away from their contradictory behavior. Instead of acknowledging the inconsistency, they may try to put the blame on you for being suspicious or not trusting them. This deflection tactic serves to avoid accountability, allowing them to maintain control of the narrative without having to admit to their mistakes or lies. The more you observe someone's behavior, the more you'll start to notice these patterns. A person who has bad intentions might also become irritated or hostile if you press them too much about the details of their story. This could be because they know that their contradictions will become apparent if they are forced to explain themselves in too much detail. In such cases, their frustration with you is less about the actual content of the conversation and more about their discomfort with being exposed. They don't want to be caught in their web of lies, so they resort to pushing back against you to avoid further scrutiny. Additionally, a person who is being dishonest often exhibits a lack of consistency in how they react to certain situations or how they treat different people. For example, someone who is trying to manipulate you might behave one way in your presence, calm, collected, and empathetic, while acting completely differently when you are not around, perhaps dismissive, cold, or even hostile toward others. These contrasting behaviors are signs of someone who is deliberately managing their image and trying to control how they are perceived by others. The discrepancy in their actions is not just a sign of inconsistency in their story, but also in their character. The problem with such inconsistency is that it erodes trust. If someone is telling you one thing one day and something entirely different the next, it becomes increasingly difficult to believe anything they say. Over time, you may begin to feel unsure of where you stand with them, as their behavior and stories seem to shift with every interaction. This kind of emotional confusion can leave you vulnerable as it plays on your uncertainty, forcing you to rely on their narrative, even when it doesn't make sense. Furthermore, inconsistency in a person's behavior doesn't just manifest in words. It can also appear in their actions. They might promise one thing and then fail to deliver on it. Or they might say they stand for one set of values, but act in direct opposition to those values. When their actions don't align with their promises or words, it is another glaring inconsistency that signals bad intentions. For example, someone who claims to value honesty, but frequently tells lies or avoids transparency is not only inconsistent in their narrative, but also in their integrity. Ultimately, consistency is a cornerstone of trust and healthy relationships. If someone's words don't align with their actions, or if their stories shift depending on their audience or the situation, it is a clear sign that something is wrong. People with bad intentions may use this inconsistency to manipulate or deceive others, making it harder for you to distinguish truth from fiction. Recognizing these contradictions early on can help you protect yourself from being taken advantage of, and it can serve as a powerful tool for discerning who truly has your best interests at heart. When in doubt, pay close attention to the inconsistencies in both words and actions, as they will often reveal a hidden agenda. Excessive charm is one of the most manipulative tactics used by individuals with bad intentions. At first glance, it may appear as an endearing quality, a personality trait that is attractive and welcoming. However, when someone's charm is used as a tool for ulterior motives, it can become a powerful weapon to manipulate and control others. A person with bad intentions doesn't simply charm you out of genuine interest or affection. They do so with the goal of influencing your decisions, lowering your guard, and ultimately gaining something from you, whether it be trust, favors, or personal gain. At the core of this behavior is the idea of making a positive first impression. People with bad intentions are often skilled at creating an image of themselves that seems perfect or too good to be true. They will go out of their way to be overly pleasant, flattering, and engaging, offering compliments that may feel sincere, but are often exaggerated or strategically timed. They may shower you with praise, telling you things like, "I've never met anyone as talented as you," or "You're the best at everything you do." These compliments can be disarming because they appeal to our innate desire for validation and recognition. However, the key here is that they are often not based on genuine admiration, but are instead used to manipulate your emotions and create a sense of closeness or trust that might otherwise take time to develop. This excessive flattery is designed to make you feel special, making you believe that you have a unique bond with the person who is showering you with attention. The manipulator's goal is to build rapport quickly, as the faster they can make you feel comfortable and admired, the more likely they are to achieve their objectives. They may seem to know just what to say to make you feel good about yourself. But the truth is that this charm is a calculated tactic. By complimenting you frequently and excessively, they lower your defenses and make it easier for them to influence you. Along with the over-the-top compliments, this kind of charm often includes exaggerated gestures of kindness and generosity. They might offer to help you with things before you even ask, or go out of their way to do small favors for you, all with the intention of winning your trust. It may seem like they're just being thoughtful, but the underlying motive is to create a sense of indebtedness. By constantly doing things for you, they set up an unspoken expectation that you will return the favor when the time comes. This cycle of giving and receiving favors, however generous it may seem, is a way for them to keep you attached and emotionally invested, so that when they need something from you, you'll feel obligated to comply. What makes excessive charm particularly dangerous is that it often clouds your judgment. When you are flattered or constantly praised, it can become difficult to see beyond the surface level of the interaction. You may begin to believe that the person genuinely cares about you and your well-being, as their actions and words seem to be a reflection of this care. However, this charm is not grounded in authenticity. It is instead a mask that hides their true intentions. They know that people are naturally drawn to those who make them feel good about themselves, and they exploit this tendency to get closer to you. The longer they maintain this charm, the more difficult it becomes to discern their real motives. The manipulator works hard to make themselves appear trustworthy, but this trust is built on a foundation of lies and manipulation. Over time, you might notice that their charm begins to feel more transactional. What initially seemed like a genuine desire to connect starts to feel more like a series of calculated moves designed to keep you in their orbit. You might realize that the person is only interested in you when they need something or when they're trying to gain an advantage. This transactional nature of their charm is a significant red flag. For instance, when they want to influence your decision-making or get you to do something for them, their charm becomes more intense. They might tell you how much they depend on your judgment, how they trust you above everyone else, or how important your approval is to them. These statements are carefully crafted to make you feel valued, but ultimately, they serve the purpose of manipulating your actions. Another tactic used by excessively charming individuals is their ability to mirror your behavior and values. They are often highly observant and can pick up on your preferences, interests, and emotional triggers. Once they understand what makes you tick, they can use this information to deepen the sense of connection. By agreeing with your opinions, showing interest in the things you care about, or even adopting your attitudes, they create the illusion of similarity and common ground. This mirroring technique helps them build rapport and makes you feel like they get you in a way that others don't. However, their interest in you is not genuine. It's merely a strategy to keep you engaged and receptive to their influence. The danger in excessive charm lies in the fact that it can take a long time to uncover the truth. Initially, you might feel flattered by the attention and the compliments, seeing the other person as a friend or ally. But as time goes on, their true nature begins to surface. They might start making demands or manipulating you in subtle ways, expecting that your previous positive interactions will make it harder for you to resist. If you've grown emotionally attached, it becomes even more difficult to recognize that their charm was simply a means to an end rather than a genuine expression of affection or friendship. Ultimately, excessive charm is a tactic designed to lower your defenses and make you more susceptible to manipulation. It's not about fostering a real connection or building trust through shared experiences. Instead, it's a way for someone with bad intentions to control the narrative, influence your decisions, and ultimately use you for their personal gain. Recognizing when charm is being used as a tool rather than a sign of genuine interest can help you protect yourself from people who are only interested in what they can extract from you. A tendency to deflect blame is one of the clearest indicators that someone may have bad intentions. People with this behavior rarely take responsibility for their actions, instead seeking to shift the blame onto others or external circumstances. This is a tactic used to protect their own image and avoid accountability for any mistakes, failures, or wrongdoings. When you encounter this behavior, it becomes clear that the person is more concerned with self-preservation and manipulation than with honesty or growth. At the heart of deflecting blame is a desire to maintain control over how they are perceived by others. A person who refuses to accept responsibility will do everything in their power to make sure that they are seen in a favorable light, even if it means lying, distorting the truth, or creating an elaborate narrative that shifts the fault elsewhere. They may point fingers at you, blaming you for a situation they caused, or insinuating that circumstances beyond their control led to their failure. By doing this, they deflect the negative consequences away from themselves and place it squarely on someone else. This behavior often manifests when something goes wrong or when a conflict arises. Instead of addressing their role in the problem, the person will quickly identify someone or something else to blame. For example, if a project fails at work, they might blame their team members for not doing their job properly, even though they may have failed to provide the necessary guidance or resources. If a personal relationship hits a rough patch, they might claim that you misunderstood their intentions, or that external factors such as stress or their past experiences caused them to act the way they did. They rarely acknowledge their own shortcomings or take steps to rectify their behavior because doing so would require them to face uncomfortable truths about themselves. What makes this tactic so manipulative is its subtlety. Often, the deflection is not overt or aggressive, but rather presented in a way that makes you question your own role in the situation. The person may present their version of events so convincingly that you start to believe that they might not be entirely at fault. They may say things like, "If only you had done this differently," or "I wouldn't have acted that way if you hadn't provoked me." These statements place the responsibility for their actions on you, making you feel guilty or responsible for things that were beyond your control. By shifting the blame, they avoid accountability and leave you feeling unsure of what actually transpired. This constant deflection can erode trust in a relationship, whether personal or professional. If someone never takes responsibility for their actions, it becomes increasingly difficult to rely on them or trust their word. They create an environment where no one can be certain of the truth, as their version of events is constantly changing to fit their narrative. Over time, this lack of accountability can cause confusion and frustration, as you are left trying to piece together the reality of situations where the other person refuses to be honest or transparent. Another way deflecting blame plays out is when the person manipulates others into believing they are the victim of an unjust situation. By casting themselves as the one who has been wronged or misunderstood, they draw attention away from their own actions and focus it on the harm they claim to have suffered. This can take the form of self-pity, where they express how unfairly they've been treated and how their intentions were misunderstood. This tactic garners sympathy and makes it more difficult for others to hold them accountable. People might begin to see them as someone who is perpetually suffering or facing adversity, rather than someone who is responsible for the problems at hand. Moreover, this deflection often goes hand in hand with gaslighting, a psychological manipulation technique where the manipulator causes someone to doubt their perception of reality. In the case of deflecting blame, the manipulator may tell you that your concerns or accusations are out of line, or that you're overreacting, making you feel as though you are the one at fault for even questioning them. This combination of deflection and gaslighting leaves the person in question firmly in control, while you are left questioning your own sense of judgment, unsure whether your concerns are valid or whether they are simply a result of your own misunderstanding. Deflecting blame can also create a toxic dynamic in personal relationships. If someone consistently refuses to accept responsibility for their actions, it can foster resentment and emotional distance. You may find yourself constantly trying to make sense of situations where the person seems incapable of owning up to their mistakes. This dynamic can leave you feeling unheard, unappreciated, and frustrated. When you are repeatedly blamed for things you didn't do, it may take an emotional toll, and the relationship can become one-sided, with the manipulator using your empathy and desire for peace against you. In professional environments, this behavior is just as damaging. A person who refuses to take responsibility for their failures can derail projects, create confusion, and undermine team morale. When a leader or colleague deflects blame onto others, it sets a dangerous precedent for how mistakes and accountability are handled. It can cause resentment within a team, as others are forced to pick up the slack or take the fall for problems that were not of their making. Over time, this can lower trust in the team and disrupt the collaborative nature needed to achieve success. Ultimately, deflecting blame is a tactic used by people with bad intentions to escape responsibility and avoid facing the consequences of their actions. It can be damaging to relationships, both personal and professional, as it shifts the focus away from real issues and creates confusion and emotional turmoil. Recognizing this behavior early on is essential for maintaining healthy boundaries and ensuring that you are not manipulated or taken advantage of. When someone continuously refuses to accept responsibility, it's important to challenge their version of events. Stand firm in your understanding of the truth and recognize that they may be using deflection as a tool to manipulate you. In conclusion, recognizing the warning signs of bad intentions is crucial for safeguarding our relationships and well-being. From manipulative charm to inconsistency, excessive deflection of blame, and many other tactics, understanding these red flags can empower us to make better decisions and protect ourselves from emotional harm. By staying vigilant and trusting our instincts, we can avoid falling into the trap set by those who seek to exploit or deceive us. Remember, a person's true intentions are often revealed not through their words alone, but through their actions, consistency, and the way they handle difficult situations. Thank you all for your attention and for taking the time to reflect on these important insights. I wish you the best of luck in identifying these behaviors in your own lives, ensuring that you foster healthy, trustworthy relationships. Stay alert, stay true to yourself, and never be afraid to protect your peace. Thank you again.